Welcome to Pathways to Recovery. My name is Joshua Pear, and today we have Mr. Breeze Hall. He is the founder of Fourth Dimension Apparel. He's been through recovery and he's willing to share his story today. So, Mr. Breeze Hall, man, thank you so much for coming on. One of the things that you said was addiction has put you on your current path and has given you purpose. In order for you to receive those gifts, you had to accept that addiction had become a problem and commit to healing. So, my question is, can you walk us through those early years and how addiction first entered your life?
Yeah, first, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it. So, my story really starts as a child. I grew up I had a traumatic upbringing, right? So, my father was an alcoholic, and there was a lot of physical and emotional abuse in the home. Around 13 is when started drinking alcohol. Once I started drinking alcohol, smoking weed came my release, right? Or my escape, rather. You know, my father passed away at the age of 14. He was an alcoholic, but um, he had tried heroin at that time, and he ended up overdosing. And then once that happened, my mother kind of did her own form of escape, right? So she started going out all the time and kind of leaving me at home with my younger brother. Without my father being that authoritative figure in my life, I just kind of things started to escalate quickly. That kind of accelerated over the years. It took 30 years before I got to a place of complete desperation, you know?
What were some of the main substances that you used? How did it evolve over time?
So, people ask me a lot, what was your drug of choice? I don't know if I could identify a drug of choice, right? It all depended on accessibility. It was never, sure, I enjoyed the highs, right? But it was never really about that. I could say that in hindsight. It was alcohol and marijuana for pretty much all the way through high school. Around 19 years old, I ended up trying cocaine. Cocaine at that point was still just kind of like, okay, it's the weekend, we're going out to the club or whatever, to the bar, to a party. We would get cocaine. And then, this was late 90s, early 2000s. So right around that time, ecstasy or MDMA became like a really big thing, at least in my area. And then once I tried that, that became like, it wasn't a drug where you could do that every day because if you do it, too close together, you won't feel the effects. But I would do that as often as possible, right? And then it led into, opioids, Percocets, and things like that. But throughout the past 30 years, I kind of dabbled in everything.